It's interesting what you're mentioning. If you think of the US market, since the crisis, we had about 1,000 banks closed. In Europe, we just had a few. So I can see in Russia for the last few years some consolidation. But overall, I mean, I think the international banks are very, very much looking to compete. But it's a very tough market. It's very competitive. The banks are very strong. It's a tough market. Well, I think, to the credit of a lot of corporates in particular, but also to many banks, they have managed the difficulties extremely well and actually sitting on cash. So this cash is coming back to the banks, deposits or in the short-term investments. So the system is pretty liquid. Well, there was a huge rally the last few years. I mean, if you just look at the government bond prices in dollars from maybe 2 years ago, about 7%, to now really like half of that or even better than that. So huge rally, fantastic performance. So I think now dollars are a bit expensive. But if you look from a new issue perspective, which is our business, the opportunity for issuers is really euro-ruble. There's great arbitrage. So you really play international demand against the local markets. That's a great opportunity. And then you can swap back to dollars. Obviously, you don't touch the same investors exactly. So dollars is still very interesting to go wider than that. Euro-ruble is a bit of a niche, but the sizes are quite good. And the opportunity may go at some stage, and then you have missed it. You have, I mean, the go-go days, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we had so far in just the first 2 months of the year, we would have 20 billion of issuance from Russia. This year, it's 2 billion, but it's double the size of what we saw last year. So actually, it's quite active already in 2017. And I could really see a lot of interest across, dollars or euro-ruble, or maybe others like euro from our issuer clients. So I'm very optimistic for 2017. It's going to be busy. And to your question, to the euro-ruble question, I think the opportunities when you have arbitrage do not last very, very long. If you start having 1, 2, 3, 4 issuers taking that arbitrage, then it tends to go away. So I think, our issuer clients should really go and get that opportunity and take it before it's too late. Well, the world is very vast. So I think issuers tend to look at their home market. Then they look at, the other big market. So if you are European, you would do euro. If you are American or maybe Latam, you do dollars. And then you look at the rest. So you've seen these big movements, reverse Yankees from sort of American time zone into euro. I mean, it's very classic stuff to be doing Yankees. So for non-Russians to come and look at euro-ruble or ruble domestic, I think it will take probably some time. It will come back, for sure, especially if this arbitrage is around. These clients will look at the opportunity. But I think, Asia continues to be a huge, driver of investor demand. Our clients, our issuer clients are looking at, Formosa, or are looking at RMB, Panda. They are looking, maybe Sing dollar. But Russia will come back at the front for sure. Russian corporates have done extremely well in the last few years to manage the difficulties. Whether they are importers or exporters, that was very impressive. So the quality of the credit is very strong. And I think the outcomes that we have seen in 2016, or indeed already in 2017, I mean, the coupon reached by some of those transactions are very low. And for some of the single B credits printing just at 5%, about. Result did 501/8 transactions. This is really good outcomes. So that will feed into more issuance because the opportunity is there to refinance. I mean, the whole market has gone shorter, if you will. We will see a lot of liability management from our clients buying back short-dated bonds to extend. I don't think a lot of corporates actually need new money, but I think they need to extend. They need to go and refinance. Again, the opportunity now with the current level is fantastic. So we have a lot of dialogue now. We have done transaction, we've done Eurochem, buying back old debt and extending. That was a great transaction. I think we'll see a lot of that, actually. I think it's really the other side of the coin. The market has rallied immensely, so it is a bit rich. It is a bit expensive. But I think you still have, demonstrating that it works, demonstrating that you can refinance, that gives more quality to the credit. Every time you finance, you are stronger. So actually, it feeds itself. This rally should continue to feed itself a bit. But I could see the danger is being just slightly rich compared to other markets, or even, by itself on an absolute basis. But I think the rest is there already. Whatever geopolitics has been there for years and years, and we are still here. So I think it's more that. It's more, look, we were cheap in Russia compared to Turkey, Brazil, South Africa, or the market. Now we are looking at we had such a good run, but maybe it's a bit expensive, and people will sell some to take some profit. Not so much because of the credit quality or the lack of trust, no, I think it's just because it's so much a good market. Look, it's a good question. I think on balance, my view would be that investors still today, especially US investors, don't touch so much Russian credit in general. They don't understand the sanction regime, it's complicated, it has been volatile. They missed out the rally it's very clear, and it's difficult to come now. If there was some positive news in terms of geopolitics or sanctions or things like that, I think a lot of those guys could become investors again. So I think the reserve, if you will, the reserve is very big of new investors, old investors coming back, if you wish. So that would be a very positive for the market. I hear you about the risk premium being eroded, but you still have that to capture between the moment that it's lifted to where it's really fully priced as back to the fold and totally as before, business as usual. That's something to capture for investors. So I would see, and that's probably why you still have more to go. Your rally is not finished. To start with, this conference is absolutely packed. So I think that's a very bullish sign that investors are interested, and there's a lot of issuers as well, our clients, coming to the conference. It's absolutely packed. We had standing room actually earlier when we did the panel. So this is really impressive actually, and to be fair, it's my first time in this conference. So it was great results, and I think that's really boding well for 2017. We're really, really confident with that. No, I think, LM is a big theme, liability management, and people will want to buy back and extend. I think and that's across the piece, whether for some of the banks, whether for some of the different sectors or corporates. Maybe some public sector will come back at some stage, obviously. But overall, I think that's a big theme, liability management. I mean, the whole debt has come shorter. And so that will be addressed. There's no question about that. And we've done some of trade, and we have more coming due for sure. After that, the classic for Russian market has been the banks and metals and mining. But I can see the dialogue we had the last 6 months, let's say, and I think we have a few coming up. Other names will come to the market, new names that have not come to the bond market. So it's actually very exciting. 2017, we see new transaction, new names coming to the bond market. They used to be in the loan market, they'll come to the bond market. And that's a trend that we see globally. We're used to it in the US market. People go to the bond market naturally. I think Europe has moved a lot. Asia has moved a lot. I think 2011, 2012 was a year where Asia moved to more bonds than loans. I think Russia has not yet done that. But from what we have as a dialogue at HSBC, I think we see that coming in 2017. There'll be a lot of bonds from new names coming to the market, and that's very exciting. We'll have a good year. What I've been impressed with is the sophistication of Russian issuers. They have survived the difficult times to their credit. And I think, what I can see, the dialogue that we have, the technicalities we go into, the details when we pitch, the quality of the roadshow, the quality of the dialogue we have around the transaction, that would be a big asset for issuers this year in a tough market. You're competing against Asian issuers, Middle East issuers, LATAM. It's a tough competitive environment for EM issuers, but Russian issuers are very sophisticated, and that is going to be their best asset for 2017.